Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the ultimate high-stakes game of global governance. It's so easy to get caught up in the daily political drama on the news. But today, we're zooming out. We're looking at the foundational frameworks, the invisible rulebooks that dictate what politicians can and cannot do. We're going to explore exactly how nations structure their power and define the rule of law for millions of people.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The ultimate political rulebook. 2. From antiquity to modernity. 3. The Western traditions. 4. Republics and socialist models. And finally, 5. Why these rules matter. Let's just jump right in, shall we?
Section 1. The ultimate political rulebook, foundation of governance.
Okay, so before we cross the globe, we need to establish what these foundational rules actually are. At its core, a constitution does the heavy lifting for a nation. It's not just a basic set of laws, it's the supreme framework. It distributes power and regulates that incredibly fragile relationship between the state and the people living within it. It establishes exactly how institutions function, and crucially, it protects your rights as a citizen. But here's the catch. Having a rule book is entirely different from actually playing by it, and that is what we call constitutionalism. Think about it for a second. A lot of authoritarian regimes have beautifully written constitutions on paper that guarantee all these sweeping freedoms, but they completely lack constitutionalism in practice. Because without an independent judiciary, strict adherence to the rule of law, and genuine accountability, well, a constitution is really just a piece of paper.
Moving on to Section 2. From antiquity to modernity, the evolution of ideas.
Now, you might be wondering, where did all this come from? These concepts certainly didn't just appear overnight. The seeds were actually planted way back in ancient Greece and Rome. But a massive shift happened in 1215 with the Magna Carta, which essentially forced a monarch to actually submit to the law. That momentum rippled outward, culminating centuries later in the American and French revolutions. Those events completely rewired global governance and paved the way for our modern focus on human rights. So it's really this continuous building narrative of shaping political authority over thousands of years.
Section 3. The Western traditions. United Kingdom versus United States.
To see these rules in action, it is absolutely fascinating to put two democratic heavyweights side by side and see just how drastically different they are. We're looking at the UK's highly fluid, uncodified tradition matched up against the USA's incredibly rigid, codified system from 1787. One relies heavily on parliamentary sovereignty, while the other is obsessively focused on strict checks and balances. Let's break this down a bit more. Let's zoom in on the UK for a second. Their rulebook isn't actually one single document you can go look at behind glass in a museum. It's uncodified. It's this complex, centuries-old web of statutes, historical conventions, common law, and judicial decisions. And all of this is held together by the core concept of parliamentary sovereignty. It's a system built purely on historical precedent and, honestly, an immense amount of trust.
On the flip side, the US system took the exact opposite path. Framed in a single summer in 1787, it is one single codified text. The framers were obsessively focused on limiting power, so they explicitly engineered strict checks and balances, established federalism, enshrined judicial review, and tacked on a Bill of Rights. Every single piece of this structure was purposefully designed to guarantee government limits.
All right, Section 4. Republics and socialist models. France and China.
If we broaden our perspective a bit, we find entirely different approaches to organizing political authority. Looking at them neutrally, we can see France operates under the 1958 Fifth Republic Constitution, which actively balances democratic institutions with a uniquely powerful executive branch. China, on the other hand, relies on its 1982 Constitution, functioning fundamentally on a model of socialist constitutionalism under the leadership of the Communist Party. Focusing in on France, it's kind of wild to realize they didn't just write one rulebook and call it a day. Their political journey was highly volatile. Since their revolution in 1789, France has actually cycled through more than a dozen different constitutions and models of governance, trying to find the perfect balance before finally landing on the stability of the 1958 model they use today. Meanwhile, over in China, their current 1982 constitution serves as their specific modern blueprint. It represents their distinct model of socialist constitutionalism, providing the structural framework intended for both state governance and ongoing national modernization. It's just a completely different methodology for organizing a modern political system. And finally, Section 5. Why these rules matter. Stability, legitimacy, and governance. So, what does this all mean? Why does the specific flavor of these rule books matter to you and me? Well, no matter how radically different these traditions are, from uncodified conventions in the UK to strict socialist models in China, they are all trying to solve the exact same human problem. Every constitution is ultimately an attempt to achieve these crucial steps: organizing political authority, establishing the state's legitimacy, enforcing the law, and ultimately guaranteeing national stability. That is why understanding these foundational frameworks is absolutely vital to making sense of the world. I want to leave you with a thought to chew on long after this explainer ends. How secure are your rights if the rulebook can simply be ignored? As we've seen, having a constitution is one thing, but constitutionalism is quite another. So ask yourself, can a government truly maintain its legitimacy without a strict adherence to the rule of law? Keep asking questions, and keep looking for those structural blueprints hidden just beneath the surface of our daily news. Thanks for joining me.